When working with dogs, there's always inherent risk. Urban Dogs LLC is not responsible for damages to any person, animals, or property by those attempting these procedures. Welcome to Less Stress, More Success, number 6, Leash Greetings. One of the most crucial aspects of a well-trained and well-socialized dog are greetings on leash with people or other dogs. Greetings are a big part of life when out with a dog on a leash walk, and in order to ensure that the greetings go as good as possible, it is the humans that will need to take a few simple steps and take some history of all involved. Let's start with what to do with a dog and a handler, and what they should have reliably trained so the greeting with other dogs or humans goes smoothly. The dog has to have a history with no inordinate fears or aggression or extreme excitability. The dog should have a reliable wait and stay. The dog should also have a reliable sit or the ability to keep all 4 paws down on the ground. The dog should also have a reliable disengagement cue trained, such as leave it or touch. When doing greetings with dogs and people that you know, you should orchestrate this by taking some history and have a plan based on flexible and easy greeting protocols that you've discussed ahead of time. For spur-of-the-moment greetings, simply ask people to stand upright and not bend over or reach for the dog. Allow the dog to approach and sniff on a short, loose leash. This is usually the best way, in general, to have people behave when doing greetings with dogs on leash. Now let's discuss what not to do during leash greetings. Do not have the leash at full length. This is the single cause for leash greetings going poorly. Remember, less leash equals less dog. Do not linger. Get the greeting done and then move on to walking. Keep it short and sweet and end with a treat. Do not greet dogs or people when the dog is overly excited or fearful. Gain some distance. Do not greet unknown dogs on the spur of the moment. This is also a huge factor in why so many dogs have poor greeting histories. You do not know the history of the unknown dogs, and most people think they have a friendly dog. But that does not mean the dog will like the dog you are walking or vice versa. Avoid the potential for poorly executed greetings with unknown dogs by not greeting them. The risks you run with poorly executed dog greetings are also possible fights and or dust-ups. Over time, this can create fear, aggression, and or stress due to a history of greetings going poorly. It's better to gain distance and take a wide berth around dogs that you do not know and you cannot greet. In addition, it's a good idea to have a general mark, yes, and pay the dog with a food reward for seeing leash dogs when they're out on leash. You can even pay them if they hear them or smell the other dogs when out on a walk. This creates a good prediction of rewards for seeing, hearing, and even smelling the scents of other dogs when on leash. Over time, there's a cumulative effect, and many dogs will settle faster when they cannot greet the dogs they see when out on a leash walk. The reality is 99.999% of the dogs seen on a dog walk will not meet the dog we are walking. By counter-conditioning dogs to stay under threshold when they encounter dogs they cannot meet, the stress level is reduced significantly. Leash greetings, dogs meeting dogs, what to do and how to do it. Number 1, work with known dogs and familiar people and obtain histories of both. It's always a good idea to have some knowledge of the dogs and the people that you're going to be greeting or meeting up with. If it's the first time the dogs are meeting or meeting after some time apart, get a history of how the dog's social life has been, as well as how leash greetings have been going. As with all dog-dog interactions, we want a good long history of normal range behaviors with no bites and or fights. The only time that history taking is slightly flexible is when you're doing greetings with puppies between 8 and 21 weeks, though it's still a good idea to inquire about their recent history and the socialization of the puppies. Obtain some history of the people that will be handling the dog. Discuss a plan and work in a mutual comfort zone for the greeting. Number 2, greet in an open space with room to move about and start walking soon after the initial greeting, or have dog friends start playing off-leash soon after the greeting has taken place. Number 3, short leashes. The vast majority of the time, leash length is the problem with dog greetings. The humans have the leash too long. Remember, less leash equals less dog, and this means better control. Number 4, have a plan based on lowering stress for the dogs and the handlers. This means deciding how to orchestrate the greeting prior to the greeting. Keep it simple and work in everyone's comfort zone. Here are a few foundational rules that will help when orchestrating dog greetings. Mark and pay the nanosecond the dog sees, hears, or smells the dog they are about to greet. This starts the greeting off on a good note. Ask for a sit or a wait or some sort of behavior before you start the approach for the greeting. If either dog is too excited and or reactive, abandon the greeting by creating distance and use visual barriers if they're available. Then, allow the dogs to try again after they've settled. By taking a few simple steps, you can really have great success when dogs are greeting dogs. Here are a few greeting protocol options. Plan A, round and round. This is a way to simulate how the dogs would naturally greet in a round and round fashion. The handlers should decide ahead of time which way to go, left or right, and communicate all through the round and round greeting in case the directions need to be reversed to avoid a leash entanglement. As soon as the dogs have met and sniffed or play loud, what have you, start walking. Plan B, the rear smell doggy handshake. This is for dogs that may be slightly apprehensive and will do better once they get a sniff of the dog from the back end. It is crucial for the dog that is being held and sniffed to be 100% comfortable with being gently restrained and approached and sniffed by another dog. It is additionally crucial for both handlers to have extensive experience doing this rear end handshake greeting, and they should have a good solid history with the dogs they are handling for this protocol. Here's how to implement the rear smell doggy handshake. Number 1, mark and pay each dog for the initial sighting or hearing of one another. Number 2, have the restrained dog held and being fed before, not as the dog approaches to sniff and greet. It's fine for the dog to see the approaching dog before the approach and be rewarded for that. However, make sure you have the dog turned around and being fed before the sniffing dog is upon them. Feed the dog for the rear exposure the entire time. Number 3, sniff and greet for no more than 3 to 4 seconds. Number 4, break away and start walking. Or, number 5, you could allow the dog that just sniffed to greet the dog with a round and round greeting, or if comfortable, gently restrain that dog and allow the other dog to sniff and greet from the back. This will all be predicated on the dog's history with greetings and meeting other dogs, as well as the handler's skills. Dogs greeting one another on leash is not natural, and many dogs simply need guidance as to how to greet when on leash. Once the dogs receive the proper feedback from the humans, they make better sense of leash greetings, and the sequence goes much better. This all amounts to the humans taking history of both dogs and humans and making sure that they have their skills with leash greetings in order so stress is reduced for all involved. Now let's discuss leash greetings with humans. The main thing to consider is this: who are we greeting with the dog and where? Is this someone you know or a random person that wants to say hello to the dog while you're out on a walk? Let's start with the random person that wants to say hello to the dog. This is all predicated on assuming that the dog is safe and sound and loves all people. Number 1, ask the person to stand still and not bend over or reach for the dog. When the dog handler directs traffic and orchestrates the greetings, things usually go smoother. Number 2, have a short leash. It cannot be stressed enough that a short, loose leash prevents 95% of the jumping to greet on humans. When the leash is short and loose, the handler can more easily absorb the jumping and implement a redirect if needed. Number 3, allow the dog to approach the human if possible. Based on the dog and their level of excitability, you will adjust the pace and the approach accordingly. Do not have people approach the dog. Number 4, allow the dog 3 to 4 seconds to sniff the person. The leash should still be short and loose, and you can jolly talk and or mark yes and reward the dog for the greeting taking place. Number 5, ask the dog for a leave it or touch or prompt away. Then pay a food treat for the disengagement from the person and or continue walking and reward the dog with scent detections. At this juncture, based on the dog and the person and the time constraints of the dog walk, you could do one of the following. You could stand 5 feet away from the person and or the dog and mark and pay for orientations to the new person or the dog you just met. Also, you could have the person pet the dog and give them a food treat without bending over or kneeling down, or you could simply say, "Take care," and start walking. Now let's discuss greetings with people you know. For leash greetings with known people, much of the same is to be implemented as if you were greeting an unknown person in terms of the leash being short and making sure that the dog is not too excited or jumping. However, this is someone that the dog knows, and that can make things challenging as many dogs get very excited to see people that they like. Apply the exact same protocols for greetings with people you know as for people you don't know. However, the exception is this. With people that you and the dog know and the dog is excited to see, it supplies us with a very good opportunity to get some impulse control work accomplished. You can do this with impromptu greetings for overly excited dogs, but this is best done with people that you know so everyone follows directions. The person is the reward in this case, and controlling that aspect will really help in training to greet properly. Now, with the super friendly dog that is too excited, end the greeting or postpone it for a few minutes until the dog is relaxed enough to approach with a modicum of excitement. This will be a case-by-case basis, as sometimes it is best to adjust your pace and simply let the dog get the greeting out of their system after a quick sit and wait. This decision to implement a timeout and stop the greeting is based on who the person is that you're greeting, your time constraints, the dog's level of excitability, and the handler's skills to orchestrate it so the dog does well despite being excited. Remember, the distance and duration of the person you are greeting with an overly excited dog matters. Always work those two areas to reduce the stress and increase the success when greeting people. If you need to use cell phones and headsets to communicate, do so. You may need to have the person you are greeting walk away or go out of view so the dog settles and learns that relaxed behavior equals greetings with people. And when they are being too excited, that sends people away. It takes some legwork, but it has a big impact. As with all on-leash scenarios, the dog is not able to act upon their flight response if they need to. This is intrinsically stressful for many dogs to some degree, so please have patience when working with dogs on leash. We can reduce the stress of leash greetings by organizing and orchestrating them so that they are the least stressful and most successful based on a flexible plan. Make sure that you're always taking a thorough history of the dogs that you have never met and dogs that you haven't seen in a while. Make sure both handlers are in sync as much as possible. Always make sure that the people involved with greetings are communicated to with prior or by way of headsets and cell phones during the greeting for any on-the-spot adjustments you may need to make. Always, with any greeting, make sure the leashes are short and loose, and things will go much better when doing greetings with people or dogs. By taking a few simple steps ahead of time, you can have a big positive impact to all leash greetings. This has been a Canine Sun Media presentation.